Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Monday live stream. Let me turn on my camera real quick. And let me turn this off. All right, so yeah, actually really great timing. I am watching for a trade right now at a level that I've been looking for a potential lower high at this single print. So I'm just looking for some sort of a reaction here and preferably to lose this level. I am seeing good indications on the indicator for a short opportunity, but I am waiting for the reaction and I'm waiting to see if we're going to lose this level or not. So we are going to keep an eye on this, and let me go ahead and set an alert to see if we end up coming back down here. Let me hop into the chat real quick. What is up, BitPhantom, Newt, Miroslaw? Nice to see you, man. I think this is the first time we've had you in the stream. So welcome, man. I hope everyone had a really nice weekend. Forgive me if I'm a little distracted. I just am wanting to see what's going to happen here. Okay. So yeah, let's just keep an eye on this. And I have entered a small position. Well, not a small one, but appropriately sized position. I have my stop loss over this high right here. And we're just going to see what happens. So this is an area that I've been looking at. We're starting to come down and lose it. I have entered with a good position up here at about, let's see, 30,000. What is that? 30,900, and I have a stop up here. So if we end up coming back above this high, I'll just take a very small loss, and if not, then could be in a potentially good trade here. So really good timing to start the stream, eh? Yeah, nice to see everyone. Billabach, Sergio Tesla, what up, bro? So yeah, guys, have something really epic to announce today. And yeah, really excited to share this with you guys. But I have been talking with, well, I've told you guys that I'm looking for someone to bring on as a partner to help provide technical analysis and to be an admin in the group, kind of similar to what Jay does in the JC crew. And I have been talking to Sergio Tesla for the past couple weeks, just on and off, you know, just kicking the idea around, and we have agreed to partner together. So Sergio Tesla is now going to be an administrator in the Nines Discord, and he is going to be providing the juiciest TA and live streams that the world has ever seen. And yeah, I've caught his streams in Jason's group, and he's just a really solid dude. I've known he's a solid dude since, you know, just seeing his live streams. And, you know, this wasn't, he helped me beta test the indicator. And at that point, we weren't really talking about any of this stuff, about doing any sort of admin or partnering together. You know, I just knew that he was a really good trader, and I wanted him to take a look at the indicator and just give me his thoughts on it. And, you know, I knew out of all the people that I shared it with, he was definitely, I could tell he was just a really thorough guy and provided really good feedback. And, you know, it just became pretty apparent that he was somebody that I wanted to, make that offer to. And so, I'm excited to let you guys know that he is now an admin in the group, and we will be getting him his own channel here pretty soon. And yeah, it'll just be a good opportunity for him to do live streams. I know that he likes to do live streams with in Jay's group, and he's been running those for a little while and has had some really good feedback and a lot of people following and wanting to see what he is looking at. And he's just got a really unique perspective on the market. And so I think it's going to be a really great partnership, and it's going to allow me to take more of an active role in the indicator. And so I'm going to be focusing a lot more on providing content around the indicator and how I personally look to trade with it. And that's not technically Sergio's forte. Sergio has his own style and own unique characteristics to how he trades. And I think at the end of the day, that is what his focus is going to be on. It's not really going to be indicator focused, but more just how he already trades. And it'll just be a good opportunity to give you guys some different content and some different perspectives on the market. And so super, super excited for that. But yeah, so that was the epic news that I wanted to share with you guys. And we will go ahead and hop on in to the Bitcoin price action. So if you're just joining, I am in a little short from up here. It's a area that I was looking for to take a trade. I have a very tight stop loss, and so not afraid to take a loss on this one. But that's just how it goes. I had a plan to take a trade up here. I like to use my indicator to get confirmations. And I'm seeing what I want to see. I'm in the right modes, and it just lines up. And so you can't be afraid of pulling the trigger sometimes and just accepting that you're going to, you see what you want to see, you take the trade and accept that, get a good position. And if we take a small loss, then that's okay. We'll just move on to the next one. But I would be really surprised if we don't come down here. So we'll see. But yeah, this is actually really great, because this is the first time that we've ever really caught anything live on stream. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. So let me set some alerts real quick, just so I don't have to watch this while I am talking. So let me put some alerts on the top and bottom, and we can just come back. I want to see this get lost here. I have a stop a little bit above the high, not directly over it, but I wouldn't be too interested in staying in this trade if we're going to continue up through this high. Just looking at the previous, signals, these were trades where we never came back up and retook that high. And so I also want to see that. So I don't want to see the high get retaken. That's where my stop is. I want to see this come down, and if it comes back up for it, I'm out. But okay, let's go ahead and jump into the trades that happened over the weekend. So definitely more of a scalping weekend for sure. And first of all, I want to, if you are new, then I want to remind you, and even if you're not new, that maybe you haven't heard this before, but during the weekends, I am particularly careful with the scalp trades. And so sometimes when Bitcoin is moving a lot, the scalp trades can be really good, but it doesn't happen all the time. And more often than not, Bitcoin is going to be in these very tight, just nothing ranges where it's moving 0.25% each way, and it's just not the ideal scenario for the indicator. And so that being said, you will oftentimes see on the scalp trades, looking in the normal setting, you will oftentimes see just a lot of noise And because of that, I always like to just be aware that that can happen. And whenever I start to see stuff like this, so let me zoom out a little bit. Let me turn off my TA and I'll show you what I mean. So this is right here where the weekend started, right? Let's see. So this was Friday going into Saturday. And you can start to see that we just start to get a lot of noise. And so whenever I see stuff like this, I will if I'm actually trading on the weekend, because I don't normally trade on Saturdays. I think it's good to take a day off, and if you're going to take a day off, then Saturday is without a doubt the best day to take off, because many times it's just not doing much and it's really difficult to trade, and you'll just get chopped up and you'll get into trades and it won't really go very far, and you'll just be in this really tight range, and then you'll get wiped out on Sunday or Monday, because the market makers know that there's a lot of stops over the weekend above the highs and the lows, and it just doesn't, it's just not very profitable in my experience. So anyways, that being said, I was in low sensitivity range mode. I was watching the price action, but yeah, I was in low sensitivity range mode, and you can see that it really helps clean up these signals a lot. And so if you are a weekend trader, then definitely want to keep an eye out for that low volume price action and just messy noise. And so if you see that, you have the option to do what I just did. All right, there we go. Solid trade. All right, hold on, let me take a break. So TP1 for this is going to be back into these highs right here. Always a good idea to be locking in a TP1. And let me go ahead real quick. Hold on, let me set my order. Actually, I'm just gonna, so I trade on MEXC, and honestly, I can just close it with, or I can take profit with market orders, and it's basically the same thing as a limit order. So I'm not gonna set a limit down there. I'm just gonna watch it. And if we do come down from here, I am now, so this is a great opportunity. I'm glad this happened. So I'll come back to my previous thought, but if we are coming down from here, what I'm doing now is I'm looking in bullish high sensitivity X-ray, and I'm just looking for, so what that is the most bullish possible setting that you can be looking in. So bullish high sensitivity scalps. I'm on the 1 minute. And so here would be like an example right here where we come up, got this little divergent scalp up here. I believe this was an SFP of the previous high. And we come down and get our first signal into this low. And so I don't know if this is very much of a move, but it's just a great way to, oh yeah, it actually is a decent move. It's a 0.4% move, but if it's going to continue against you, so if it's going to continue in the opposite way of your trade, then oftentimes you will see this super high sensitive scalp setting pick up these lows before continuing higher. And so that's just one way that I like to use the indicator, but it's also wise to be taking profit based on market structure alone. And based on the market structure, the first logical place to TP is for sure going to be back into these highs. And so that's where I'll be looking. Let me set another alert, and I want to be alerted whenever we lose this low again. And then I'll just come back in and put it back in this mode and just look for, I'll be taking profit regardless because of the market structure, but also another thing that you can be watching out for is just looking for this breakdown of these longs. And that's typically a good sign to see after you take a short position. So, okay, let me go back. I have my alert set. So let me go back into ranging normal sensitivity. And what was my, oh wait, let me turn off X-ray as well. What was I saying? I think I was talking about just the weekend price action. And so yeah, just be aware that that can happen. and that if it does, then I like to use low sensitivity mode just to clean this up if I am actually trading over the weekend. So, okay, what setups presented themselves over the weekend? Let's go over that real quick, and then we will move on to some, I want to just do some more macro analysis on Bitcoin after that. So always a good idea to take a step back and just to take a high time frame look at where you're at on the chart every day, and just to reset your bias, reset what you're looking for, and yeah, so we'll go ahead and do that after this. But okay, so the setups that I did take a trade from this first high right here, and this was a hit back into the golden pocket. It might be a little, I maybe should have cleaned this up a little bit before I jumped on stream, but so I have all, let me turn off the indicator. So it's all of these levels right here. It's really an area of confluence, but here we have the golden pocket from the top to the bottom. And we also have a couple of other levels of interest. Let me draw this range out real quick so you can see. But this was the macro point of control right there. Okay, so let's delete that. And then also it was a small point of control from these lower ranges. And so let me get into lower time frame. Actually, I don't need to do that. Hold on. Let me go into a lower time frame and I'll just draw a range point of control. Or, I'm sorry, I'll draw a range right here. And let me fix this. Okay, so there you go. You can see what I was referring to. It's just this, a lot of volume down here at the bottom of this particular range. A lot of people opened up positions and under the assumption that they were longs and we lost the low, these people are looking to exit their positions as we come back up into this point of control. And so that was my thought process. I just saw a whole lot of confluence. I see the golden pocket. We also have this SR flip right here, which was just another area of confluence. So yeah, a lot of things pointing to one zone. And I took this trade with pretty good entry. My entry on MEXC was like right back at this high. And whenever I got into it was right here. We came back up to basically my entry, and I had not taken profit on it yet, but I still had my stop loss above the high and took profit as we came down here into these lows and ended up getting stopped out over the weekend. And so after that, I wasn't trading too much on Saturday, but yesterday we had another setup. So actually, let me go back. Let me go to the indicator first before I move on. So this one was in range mode. It was on the 1 minute time frame, which is why I took it, because I saw a good confirmation there. We were on, I believe it was just normal range mode. Let me look. Or it was either normal or high sensitivity. Hold on, let me get this pulled up. I don't think it was high sensitivity. There it is. Okay, so yeah, just in normal range mode, I saw we came up into this area, and yeah, I mean, this is just one of those instances where sometimes it's just like a really, really clean hit into a level, just a really clean, quick signal and release, and there's just no messing around after that. So this was a really great sign for me to see it, and I think I really like this indicator just because of this reason, because something like this, I would have seen that we came back through the, I'm about to get stopped out on this other one. Keep an eye on that. So I saw that we came up through the point that I was looking at, even through the point of control. We came through it a little bit, but I saw the confirmation and it just gave me confidence to get into it and to hold it and look to hold it into the weekend trading range. And so, yeah, that was just a really great example of the indicator working out with confluence into a level, and that's always how I like to be using it. So, okay, let's go ahead and delete this real quick and we will move on to the next setup. And then after that, we'll do some macro analysis on Bitcoin and just see if we can get like a high time frame bias, and then we will move on to Ethereum. Okay, the next trade setup was this drop down into the golden pocket. So again, I was looking at low sensitivity mode at this point, and I don't believe that low sensitivity mode caught this. Okay, my mistake, it did catch it. I did not catch this trade. It was just so fast. I wasn't watching the chart, and I think I was actually also at church when this happened, but either church or lunch. But yeah, it just happened really fast, and by the time I had my application opened up on my phone, it was basically already up here. So I didn't end up catching this one, but that's okay. If you did, then congratulations. But same thing, is we were looking in the correct mode and low sensitivity mode. Come down here, we get a confirmation at the golden pocket, which is the golden pocket from this low to this high, and it's also a single print if you zoom in. So we've got this, we're looking at the 1 minute chart, and we've got all of these single rows of 1 minute candles. So I don't look at single prints on XO charts. I look at single prints on the 1 minute chart with volume profiles. And so that is how I found this after the fact. I honestly didn't have it marked before, but I found this after the fact, and you could have just traded it based on the golden pocket alone, but that was just another thing that I noticed after we had come down and hit that actually really accurately as well. So boom, right there. So okay, so that was the next setup, and we've talked about how I went about setting up the scalp trades and the sensitivity, and this is just that great example of how just listening to the market will help tell you how to set up this indicator. And yeah, so actually I'm becoming less of a fan. The more time we spend up here at this high, I'm just becoming less of a fan of this trade setup. But the reason is because I see the signals getting thicker, which is not typically a good sign for a short trade. So even if we do come down here, I'll be looking to take more profit off the table than I normally would, just because I see this signal getting thicker, and in my back testing, that oftentimes means that we have to come back up and retake this high at some point, maybe even where we come down, come back up, SFP it. That would be a decent setup. So we'll just have to see what happens, but I do not like that it's getting thicker. I would have preferred to see it be very thin and release thin, and that's just not what we're seeing. So probably, let's see, I'm about to get stopped out. So there we go. Stopped out of this one. So, okay, let's go ahead and finish this last setup. Actually, hold on. I just want to see if we're going to come back down and lose this low again. But yeah, just not something that I'd want to see, is not wanting to see this getting thicker like that. But let's see what happens. If I end up missing out on this, if we come back down, then that's okay. But it looks like it ain't gonna stop. Let me turn off the range trades in. I've been looking in high sensitivity. Let me turn this off real quick. Okay. Okay, so the next setup, let's go ahead and move on. So let's see what we have next. So next trade setup, I did end up getting into this one yesterday. And this was, I took this trade at this high right here. And the reason is because I saw that we were coming up. And let me go to the 1 minute chart. I saw that we were coming up. There was actually two prints here. So there was a print on the scalp trades at this first high as we were coming up into this level. And so I saw that we were starting to print. My next levels that I originally had on my chart was actually where I just took this most recent trade, where I was looking up here above at this single print and this 786. And so I saw we started to print signals down here, and I was curious if I had missed something. And so what I did is I just went back to this previous price action, and I was just seeing if there was something that I wasn't particularly that I hadn't caught before. And so what I did is I drew a range profile on this again, and I noticed that, so we had this first point of control down here at these lows, and then I drew another one out and saw that we had another point of control at this range right here. And so I came back to the price action. I saw that we were rejecting off of that. I saw my signal that I was looking in the correct mode. And so I took this trade here, and that turned out to be a decent scalp, pretty decent. So it looks like we probably came back down into the golden pocket down here. So, but yeah, I ended up taking profit down here, I believe after this low, and ended up getting stopped out later on that day. So, okay, that was the next setup that I wanted to go over, and we have seen good confirmations at all of the levels that we were looking to trade. And that doesn't mean there's not other trade setups. You know, there's plenty that we could go through, but those are just the ones that I think that I was looking at over the weekend. So, okay, let's take a look at what's happening right now. This is pretty bullish as far as the indicator is concerned. Like, here's an example of what I mean. So let me turn on the day trades real quick. This will actually be a great opportunity to do some analysis, some macro analysis on the indicator. So we are approaching my next setup that I was looking at, which is this SFP of this particular high. And what I would want to see at this point for the indicator is I would want to see us stop here. Okay, I would want to see this. I would want to see price action stop. I'd want to see it come back down to this point that, I know there were other people looking at this as well. This is also a 4-hour level. I think I saw that Jay had it marked as a 4-hour level. So I know there are traders watching out here. It would be nice if we came down, we released on the day trades, and then would come back up and sweep it with divergence. That would be a possible setup if we come down here. If we continue, I'm much less interested in taking, if we just continue straight into this SFP, I would be much less interested in taking it just because of how thick this is. And if I was to take it, I would just absolutely scalp it. And I would be treating it as a scalp. And if you're new, then here's a great example of why I think that way. And I would encourage you, if you have access to the indicator, to go back and just do your own research on this. You know, it doesn't always work out this way, but many times it does. And actually, here we go. I was going to set an alert, but let's see if we actually end up doing that. So let me set an alert. Oh no, I set an alert on the indicator. Hold on. There we go. Alert set. So let's see what happens. But yeah, here's what I was talking about is whenever you come up and to levels and you're getting increasing thickness on the signals, oftentimes you're setting yourself up to be, you're setting the indicator up for divergence, and divergence would be coming up, to come up and take that high, to lose it again with either a non-signal. So non-signal would be the best, that's the strongest, but also another alternative is just a thinner signal. And so you're setting yourself up, if you see this, a really thick signal printing underneath a level of interest that you're watching out for, and it's just an ideal setup to find divergence. So easy to spot with the indicator. So thick, non-existent, we lose the high, and this ends up being the better trade to take. It wasn't this one, it wasn't the thick signal, it was the one that we came up and lost that back to the downside. And so this particular one turned out to be like 2% or so, but yeah, decent scalp. But yeah, so that would be how I'm currently interpreting this, is that we're seeing this thick signal. We have come through a level of interest, we're printing thick, and it would be maybe nice to see that happen again. So just a potential scenario, and if we do come straight up into it, then like I said, I would just be more or less just looking to scalp that. But let's see what happens. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at the swing trades real quick, and just want to get a refresher on. Let me delete this before. There we go. And going to delete that. So I posted in my channel this morning that I am unabashedly bearish, and I am looking for swing short opportunities. And the reason that I'm looking for swing short opportunities, I've talked about it in the previous streams, but yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. And the reason is because looking at the indicator, so let me turn it on real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. I mean, yeah, this is just a really, really clean divergence. Man, I'm gonna be interested to see what happens right here. Man, this could actually be a really decent setup. So, okay, I digress. So yeah, the indicator has printed a super clean, like couldn't get any cleaner than this divergence. And this is very similar to this. Let me turn this off. And again, I would simply ask you to, go back and look at all the previous times that this happens, because it happens a lot. And more often times than not, I would absolutely more often than not, you will see a divergence at a significant top. And so I choose to consider those with more weight to the downside, and also keeping in mind that, it's not just going to be a straight down move, that the longer that we spend in this range, if this is going to break down to the downside, then the longer we spend in this range before we do break down, the bigger the move is going to be. So that's typically a good way to think about the potential power of a move down. So the more time you spend at a low, that's more time for whales, market makers to acquire positions and to stop you out over and over and over again. So they're filling their bags. So that will be more fuel for a stronger move, is a way that I have always thought about it. And it's also, I forget who I heard that from, might have been Chart Champions, but someone taught me that. But yeah, just the longer we spend up here, the more potential we have to turn into a stronger move to the downside if we are going to come down. So yeah, it's always possible that we're just going to play around in this range for a while and end up breaking down. And so if that is the case, yeah, I'm looking to get short at one of these lower highs. It would honestly would be best at a place that people aren't even really expecting it. And so I always keep that in the back of my mind as well. but what I would want to be looking for is a day trade for these lower highs, because if we go back, this particular range right here, we could just go back real quick, but let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So let me go to a lower time frame, and I'm going to turn on the day trades and just make a note of something. So here we are looking at this previous high where we had swing trade divergence. We've got the context, and let's turn on the day trades and let's see if we can find a single lower high that doesn't have a day trade signal at it. So real quick, turn on the day trades and both. Let me turn this back to dots real quick. There we go. Okay, and then also let me zoom out. Let me go to the 6-minute time frame. And then, yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so here we are looking at these, so pretend we're back here. We're seeing a swing divergence where we came up super hard, super thick signal. We play around, push back up to the upside and get this. When you look at a higher time frame, this is just going to be a thinner signal. But if you're on lower time frames, sometimes it will just look kind of spotty. And this is why it's always good to be looking at the swing trades as more of a zone. You don't just see a swing trade dot and just take a swing trade. You're looking for the opportunity. You're looking for where's it going to be. Here we are, we're setting up a thick signal. Same thing I was talking about with the day trades, setting ourselves up to release, to push higher, to see what we're seeing here, the spottiness, and to take that trade. We see all the signs lining up. We see the day trade divergence, we see the swing trade divergence, and that was the big one. And so even if we didn't get into this, how can we get back into another trade if this is going to be the high? You know, obviously I'm talking about right now, and it was to be looking for these day trade opportunities. And so, yeah, that's why I just took that short earlier at that single print, because I saw day trades printing, I saw scalp trades printing, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, this could be that opportunity to get into another really good trade. So yeah, that was my thought process behind that. And we can see before we did come break down to the downside, it never happened outside of one of these day trade shorts. And so right here, this needed to be cleaned up a little bit. This was just, whenever you see stuff like this, looking at the day trades, that's a good sign to be, oh, I get an alert. We're breaking to the upside. Wow, okay. I'll go back here in a sec. But yeah, this is a great opportunity to change to the right mode, which would be bullish mode for the day trades. And let's watch it clean this up. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we saw it's messy coming up. Okay. Time to get out of range mode. This isn't the right mode. The market makers clearly got an agenda to push it against the signals. What coming up here for something? What is it? So let's change it to bullish mode, and then we catch it super cleanly. And these turn out to be monster trades to the downside. And yeah, like why can't that happen now? You know, why not? Why not now? And so that's just how my mindset is. Hold on. That's how I'm thinking about things. You know, there's a possibility that I could be wrong. And I am going to be wrong many times, because that's just trading for you. You know, it's so hard to predict things, but we have a quantifiable edge if you understand how to use and read the indicator. And it's just like always a matter of taking different things into consideration. I am considering that I could be wrong, that we could come back up and retake that high, but I'll still be looking for a swing short, because there have been other times in the past when that has happened. So this will be hold on. Let me see something real quick. I'm probably going to be looking let's see if we get up to this swing failure pattern setup. Because yeah, like I'm interested in getting into a trade in case that happens again, and going to be managing it effectively, not over leveraging myself, not risking too much, not afraid to take a loss. That's okay. But yeah, I'm looking to catch these opportunities if that's what's going to end up happening. So, I mean, yeah, like I really don't. Hold on. Let me turn this off. Did we take that on other exchanges? So, okay, so what I'm also considering right here, maybe this just ends up being a thick signal and we don't. That's also possible. So what I'd want to see in that case is I would want to see divergence into it. So I might, let's see. That being said, if it is one of those types of deals where, okay, we don't end up coming back down, releasing, and I would have wanted to see a thick signal release underneath a level of interest and then come back up and sweep it with divergence for that scenario, but that's not what happened. We didn't release this thing, and so now we're just continuing to print a thick day signal into a potential short trade opportunity. And so if this is going to work out, it's going to be with scalp divergence. And I guarantee we could go back at that last high that I was just showing you before we took that big drop to the downside, and it would have scalp divergence at that high into that thick signal. And so if that's what is going to happen here, then possibly another setup, but I would have liked to see this come up a little faster and take that high. I don't like that we're just playing around underneath it, but I might be willing to hop into another small trade here depending on this reaction. So we'll just have to wait and see. Let me set an alert right here. And also going to put an alert to the downside as well. And then what I like to do on these trades, oh no, what happened? What I like to do on these SFPs is, I don't know if I'm gonna have time, but I like to draw out, hold up. Okay. No. Not really much of a reaction that you would want to see for an SFP. You normally would want to see it come up, hit the liquidity, lose the high really quickly. I know that Jay takes these based on the 1 minute closes. So let's see what happens here. Yeah. Okay, so that isn't the worst thing to see, which is that we see that we have divergence on the scalp trades into the level. So let's just watch this for a little bit longer. Not much of a reaction. What do you guys think? Not much of a reaction, right? And now we're starting to continue to print these things. So yeah, I don't know about this one. Any of y'all take this thing yet? Let me know in the chat. All right, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. So Okay, let me hop into the chat real quick. Let me see if we have any questions. First time, Ivan, what's up, bro? I'd like to short from the SP at 31.035. I was also watching that, and yeah, I ended up getting stopped out for a small loss. So let's see what we have. Everyone welcoming Sergio aboard. Couldn't agree more, man. It's going to be a really great guy to have his analysis on. So great news. Billabok says, Yelena, hello. Cedric, Epic announced already. That's right, man. That's right. Already done, man. Okay. How long do you take for the macro range and point of control? So how long do you take for macro range? I don't understand what you mean, Miroslav. How long do you take? Oh, you mean like how far back am I drawing it? Yeah, sure, I can show you that real quick. Let me set another alert real quick before I go back. I want to see what's going to happen here. How for the macro point of control, I think you're talking about this range. So here, I've already got it drawn out. I have it just all the way back to this other mini range right here. And also, while I'm here, I also want to mark out this value area high as well while I'm looking at this macro range, because this would be a great place to come back down to and to find support at the value area low. So, okay, I'm in another short. I did take this and just another small position. Like, I'm not the most confident in it because it wasn't the strongest reaction. And so therefore, just another small position where I'm not risking too much. I think I've only got about a 0.5% risk. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe I can get stopped out twice on live stream. That would be great, right? Hopefully not the case, but we will see what happens, because now we are starting to come down a little bit. So, okay. But yeah, so that was the answer, is that this is how far I'm back on the macro point of control range. And so, yeah, I've got the value area high marked. Also coincides with these highs right here. So this would absolutely be a good place to look to come back down and find support at. Let me mark this out as well since I'm here. So this is now an SR flip, and this looks like a good zone to be watching out for now for take profit and for just the potential to come down and find support and continue higher if that's going to happen. So here's what I mean. We could come back down, find support, and then come back up for the highs. So we'll just have to see what happens. So, okay. Now, that pretty much covers it for the indicator. We were doing some macro analysis, and then we got sidetracked before whenever Bitcoin was coming up. So let's just go back and do some more analysis. I've already shared my thoughts on the swing trade. I have no other choice but to look at this in a bearish setting. And so I did want to mention that, okay, whenever I do have this bias, it can be very easy to get overeager, to get into trades, to be irresponsible with your risk management, to be looking to get into a bigger trade because it's a bigger opportunity. And it's just wanted to, exercise caution to never want to think that way. You never want to be overeager to get into a trade. You want to be looking for good setups, good risk management. I know that I'm looking to get into a lower high if this is going to come back down at a day trade, at a level. That's what I see. I saw a day trade at a level, and I'm just going to take it. And I'm going to use good risk management. And I'm not going to be afraid of taking a small loss because I've got my management down. And that's just the name of the game that we play, where we are looking to hit our levels, we're looking for confluence, and yeah, that's just the best way to go about these types of scenarios, and then just let the market play out the way it's going to play out. So, okay, those are my thoughts on the swing trades. Let's go down to the day trades and take a look at those. And okay, so put this on both. Yeah, I mean, just look at this one. We're zoomed out a little bit. You know, I know I look at the lower time frames a lot, but I mean, check this out. You know, that we're here in this range. There's one of two opportunities here. So, well, first of all, this is in bullish mode. Let me see. I've been looking in range mode for the most part since we've been in this range, but let's take a look in range mode. So yeah, I think that these are some other great examples of what the range trade signals have produced. And at the end of the day, we don't know at this point what this is going to turn into. It could turn into this. Let me turn the rest of this off. All right, it could turn into this, where it's just a very clean signal into a level. We come down and lose it for a really nice trade. It could be something like this that we were talking about earlier, where we've got a thick signal, we come up, we take it again, and we get that SFP for another day trade opportunity. Or it could also be this right here. It could be this, where we could just not stop and we could just, we could be entering the golden bull run, who knows? So all that we can really do in all of these opportunities is put the odds in our favor of taking trades at levels with good risk management and looking to see what happens after that. So I would be much less interested. I would be much less interested in seeing this happen. Like, we've already come up so high. We've made just this massive push into this daily level. We see the signs pointing down on the swing trades, and so yeah, I mean, this is what you would want to see. I would be more inclined to see, honestly, something like this or this. These two would be the ones that I could see this playing out more like, if this is going to be a bearish setting. And if it's going to be a bullish setting, then I could see, like, if we're going to be coming up for these highs, I think it's going to be pretty obvious. I think it's going to be pretty evident pretty soon. And yeah, so I'm looking at the day trades in range mode, and I have no reason to change that yet. And if we continue higher from here and retake this high with more signals, then I will consider changing my bias, but I see no reason to get out of range mode yet, and I see no reason to get overly bullish yet. And I think that the only thing that would make me get overly bullish is, I think it would be to reclaim. It's going to be based on these reactions up here. We have these SFPs above us, and that's going to be the real tell of what kind of market that we're in, whether we're entering some sort of a golden bull run again, or whether we're going to hit one of these highs and put in another drive of divergence on the swing trades and just nuke from there. We'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, I see no reason to get out of range mode yet. And so let's go quick down to the scalp trades. And I am still looking in low sensitivity mode for the scalp trades. And I think that depending on what happens here, if we come back up again, I would be switching the scalp trades out of range mode, putting them into bullish mode. But yeah, I've just still been looking at low sensitivity scalps since the weekend. And yeah, I just see no reason to change that yet. But what would change that is if we come back up and start printing more scalp signals to the upside. And then I would be looking to change out of that into bullish settings. So, okay. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to Ethereum? Ethereum's been a beast lately in this last range. I think Ethereum actually, I know Ethereum is actually swing diverging right now as we speak. And I need to finish doing some TA on that. I also need to start posting these forum, or these, what am I trying to say? These polls sooner, so I can have a little more time to do my analysis. But I need to finish up doing some analysis on Ethereum, so we'll just do that live on stream. And then, yeah, I want to talk about the current swing state of Ethereum because it is in a state of swing short bearish divergence. And so that will be interesting to see if we've got some levels that we're coming up to of interest. So, okay. Do you know what, so 1618 asks, do you know what, hold on a sec. Hold on one sec, guys. Just need to make sure my stop loss is set. Okay. Okay, so one says, do you know what the SR level KPAX has on his chart is that we just hit around 31040? Let's see, 31040. He had it as an SR flip. 31040. This high? Let me turn this off. 31040. Was it that exact level? 31040? I think he has an interesting way of doing the SR flips. And I never really quite understood how he did it. He was always a little bit mysterious about it, but I would say initially thinking that he was talking about this. I've noticed that he marks these out many times. I mean, look at how well this one worked out. Once, twice, like, man, those are fantastic trades. So if it's 31005, that's what I would say. I don't really see what else he could possibly be looking at 31040. Let me know if that's the exact level, but I'm not too sure from looking. I know he uses the line chart whenever he does his SR flips. Somehow he uses the line chart. Oh yeah, look, B just said that. So yeah, he uses a line chart. The SR was somewhere between 31040 and 31050. It's a thick line, so hard to nail down. I see what you're saying. Yeah, just like B just said, he uses this line chart, and I would be lying if I said I understood how he does it. No idea. I don't know how you use a line chart to do SRs because this is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that question. Sorry, bro. At what point would you consider swing signals invalidated hypothetically? Great question. Let me show you. And we talked about this in one of the last streams, but we talked about what a golden bull run looks like. And I never consider them invalidated until I would see something like this. And something like this would mean what this previous bull run looked like. In bull runs, swing shorts are invalid. So let's look at all, so this is very bullish price action, right? So let's take a look at the indicator and we can tell at what point it becomes invalid. So let me turn this background color on so you can see. And let's wait for it to load up real quick. Okay, so here's all of the swing trade opportunities on the way up from the last low. This would technically be the same thing as what we're coming out of now, where we hit a big low, possibly a macro long-term, never to be seen again low. That's always possible, but let's say that we did and we are coming up very aggressively in price action. You can see all of the times that we would have wanted to get swing short opportunities on the way up were with divergence, once, twice. Here we have a thick signal, lose it for a small run of divergence, and then get a really good one with just a really quick, clean signal at this high, and that was our sign for divergence. So still very valid, right? Very valid. And then at what point would I say they're invalid? I would say once we start to see stuff like this, where we come up to more swing signals, we come down. I'm not going to zoom in, but we did this on this previous stream. We come down to day trades and okay, there we go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. All right. To the downside. Let's get a big one, baby. Come on. A big one. I want a big one. All right. So what we would, at what point would we say these are invalid? I mean, you could still make the argument that even in this bull run, that these are still valid trades to be taking, but you would just be expecting much less out of it. And it always comes down to another day trade. So like I said, we did go over this in a previous stream, but for the sake of time, I won't go into a smaller time frame and go back and look at it. So you can check it out yourself. But yeah, we always work down into a day trade, up to another swing trade, down to a day trade, up to another swing trade, down to a day trade, up to a swing trade. And so this entire run up, we never even come back down to another swing trade. Even in the most highest sensitivity setting, trying to look for a long, we never end up getting another swing trade opportunity. And so at what point would I say they're invalid? It's whenever we come down to day trades and push back up to swing trades. And when the swing trade divergences are just not giving us what we would want to see, where those swing trade divergences are only taking us back down to day trades. Oh wait, I clicked the wrong thing. High sensitivity, this is what I meant to click. But yeah, I would say that would be the point that I would really consider that we have maybe entered another golden bull run era. So, but then again, I think no cycle is the same. And so it's hard to predict what the next one will look like. But if it's going to be anything like the last one where it's just up only, and we know that Bitcoin likes to do that, you know, are we at that point where Bitcoin can no longer just do these up only bull runs? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I wouldn't even want to speculate on it, but, yep, that would be at what point I would say they're invalid, but they're valid until that would happen. So, okay. What do we have next? ISNO says, hey, I took the short too, definitely on the riskier side. I mean, are you talking about the ISNO? Are you talking about that single print 786 4-hour level, or are you talking about the SFP? I mean, and also, I mean, trading is just risky in general, but you know, we take calculated risks. We look for confluence at our levels, and yeah, it is risky. Absolutely. Everything's risky in trading, but that's the name of the business. That's the name of the game. So, okay. But glad to hear you took the short if it was that SFP. And let's see if we can get some more out of it. Let's see what happens. Okay. Cedric says, great, heard the announcement. Congrats for the partnership, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. let's destroy Bitcoin, ES, and other charts. Absolutely. And you know what? Now that you mentioned ES, I am going to start providing some ES in the altcoin poll. And so I want to start incorporating that if you guys would like to see it. And I think it would be a good idea, maybe just to do it regardless. Let me see if I can get rid of this Dogecoin chart. And let me put on the ES. So if you are new and you want to look at the ES, you have to use ESU. And let me turn off this X-ray mode so it doesn't look so hideous. And let me put it in the correct mode for the scalps. But yeah, if you want to look at the ES, you need to look at ESU 2023. And yeah, we're not going to look at this right now, but we can definitely start doing that in a future video, because we're going to do Ethereum real quick. I do want to talk about that, but okay, let's move on and let's see what happens here. If we come back up and retake that high, I mean, like, I would be very surprised if we don't come back for the ultimate high. So if we don't come back for 31,473, but we do have some more setups to be aware of that I'm going to be watching out for. Let me put an alert real quick so I don't miss anything good. And there we go. So I'm just going to set this alert at the golden pocket, or I'll set it above the golden pocket because I'm not looking to take that as a trade. I'm already in it. So, okay, there we go. Let's go to Ethereum and let's take a look at what we see on the macro Ethereum chart. And so let me first finish doing some analysis just so we can be up to date and make sure we're looking at the right stuff. Here's a couple things that I noticed as I was doing some analysis this morning, is just some setups that presented themselves with the indicator. So let's take a look at what happened as we came down into this macro 618. We also had a daily level there. We had a macro point of control of this entire range. And we also had an SR flip. So I think Sergio likes to do these SR flips the same way, where I don't know if he would call them an SR flip, but I've noticed that he does it on the smaller ranges. And I think he calls it like the 5-minute high or something like that. But yeah, he will mark out these first hits up into a range. So we come up, we find severe resistance at this high, and then we build a range around it, lose it to the downside, take it to the upside. And so these are just good sticking points to be aware of and to always have on your charts. And it was just more confluence for this golden pocket zone down here. So we come down for a swing trade opportunity. Let's look at the indicator. And actually, I don't need to use replay mode. Yeah, let's look at the indicator. We'll go to a lower time frame, like the 24-minute, or look at the 12-minute actually. And yeah, let's turn it on and let me make sure we're in the correct settings. So let me turn on my streamer mode so we can see the background colors. Okay. And what is happening? There we go. Okay, both. I am going to have it in range mode to start off with for the swing trades, but let's check the signals. We come down into a swing trade level. We are getting swing trade confirmations on the indicator, and let's go ahead and go to a higher time frame just to see what the context was coming down into it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, so this is just looking in range mode. I mean, just look at how amazing Ethereum work. I'm specifically looking at this run right here of price action, where we come down into a swing trade opportunity and swing trade confirmation into a swing trade level. And I just don't know like what you could possibly want more than that. And so where are we at right now? So I am still looking in range mode. Let me just turn off the rest of this. So we know that we've come off of a significant level. Let me zoom out even further to just get more of a better look at what is happening on Ethereum. And so let me put this into bullish mode. I'm curious to see what this high looks like up here. If this is, well, actually I don't even need to do that. So check out the high on Ethereum. I'm not in the right mode either, but let's put it into bullish mode and check out the high on Ethereum with divergence at the high. And this is what I'm telling you guys, is that these divergences at levels are 9 times out of 10, that's at a big significant high, that's what you will see. And so, yeah, looking in bullish mode on Ethereum has worked really well, cleaned up this swing signal significantly on Ethereum heading up. And so looking back in bullish mode, let's see. Let me look into bearish mode. Since I'm looking at this run right here. Look at that. Look at this bearish run of price action on Ethereum, and look at, I mean, goodness, it's just perfect, you know? This is what I'm talking about, these two. It's just perfect. So what I'm noticing right now is that we are in this state of divergence for Ethereum. So we've pushed up. We'll talk about the level here in a second, but we've pushed up. We have a swing signal. We have a swing signal at this high. We've now pushed up and are not printing another swing signal. And I'm looking in the setting that should be showing it. So I'm looking in bearish mode. I would be expecting to see more signals at these levels, but this is just very interesting because we're up here. I'm not exactly sure what the level of interest is because I need to finish doing analysis, but yeah, we're in a state of divergence, and this has the potential to end up being like a rubber band where we're overextended, we're diverging severely on the swing trades, and that coupled with what I'm seeing on Bitcoin, like I see Bitcoin has swing divergence, I see Ethereum is building swing divergence and, you know, swing short divergence. And so I don't know how to approach that any other way. So let's go back and see if we can find some other instances where we came up after a signal and weren't getting another signal. So I'm mainly looking for bearish price action if this is going to be continue to the downside. Let's see if I can find any examples. Here's an example. Perfect. Oh, this is actually a real good one. So, okay, this was the ultimate high on Ethereum, also with divergence. We're looking in bearish mode, so please disregard the bullish price action. So in bearish mode, looking at the bearish runs, we can see how well, first of all, let's take note how well it worked. 2 runs of divergence down here, signal, div, good trade, really thick signal. What I was saying before earlier in the stream, setting ourselves up with a really thick signal before a level, setting ourselves up for a very strong divergence, and that is exactly what happened here for a very significant swing trade. So okay, so again, disregarding the bullish price action, but we come up here, and this is what I was wanting to show you guys is that, and girls, is that we are looking at, we're aware of the current state that we're in, where we are trading above a thick signal. we're not printing any other signals. And so here's an example of why I would be looking at that in a bearish way. And so here we are, we're printing up above a thick signal, and that was a massive, massive drop to the downside. So who knows, you know, like who knows? Maybe that could happen again. There's a lot of people that are really bullish, and I could see that happening for sure. I know Sergio's bearish. I've seen him posting on Twitter and his thoughts, and you know, he's not the only one. There's a lot of people that are considering that as a possibility, that we could be at a very significant turning point in the market. So we'll just have to see what happens here. I think this will be an interesting week. See what happens. So okay, so here's another example where we come up into just a thin, clean signal, and then SFP it one more time, but same type of scenario where we have a really thick signal coming up to a high. We release, we start trading above it, printing no signal or a thin one, and that ends up being a very significant top. So that's all I can say. That's all I know. So here's an example of where it didn't work out, where we still had more room to go to the upside. So this would be the counter argument right here, where we had a real thick signal. We are trading above it, and we were looking possibly for something to happen. What was the trade setup here? Well, it seems pretty obvious if you're just looking left. The trade setup here was this SFP. And yeah, that was the setup where you would take that and be looking for a big one. And that one just didn't happen to work out. So, okay, let's go back and see if let's go back and first finish up some analysis, but let's see if we can find any significant levels to be aware of. And so I'm just going to go through this methodically, one by one. I've already done a lot of it. I just need to finish it up. So, okay, first thing I'm looking at are key SR flip levels. And this one is the one that is now off the chart. This one was this previous low. And now I am just looking for good levels to be aware of that could be, if we're going to come down here, what could be a good place for potential support. And so I'll mark this one out. Everyone would be aware of that, more of like a local SR flip. And this could also be one right here. Let's go ahead and mark this right here, and then just see if we can find any confluence at these levels. Okay, that looks good. Let me go to the high time frame, and this should actually be updated. Let's check the monthly chart. Just make sure. Okay, we have a monthly open down here, but not a fresh monthly level. That one. Okay, so nothing on the monthly chart. We have the weekly, and I have that marked already. We have this tapped weekly that we have broken through and traded back through it, but I'm still going to keep this tapped weekly on my chart just to see if it will align with anything else potentially. And yeah, we have this naked weekly up here at the high, have this one down at the low, and so those are good. Let's go to dailies. I am watching this daily, and I actually wanted to talk about this on stream. I was noticing that Ethereum really likes to come down and take these dailies before a move up. So check these out. Here, this one's marked as a weekly, but this would be the next daily. And here's this one. So from this run down, before moving up, every single time we have come down and traded back into the daily before moving higher. Same thing here. We build a range, we leave a daily, we trade above, we trade into it find support, and then rocket ship to the upside. Same thing here. We build a range, we put in a daily, trade above, come back and hit it, and continue to the upside. So the reason I'm pointing this out is because we have another daily below us, and you know, could it happen again? Yeah, but I mean, we have come up quite a lot, so I'm definitely watching it and aware that it's happened in the past and that it could always happen again. So just something that I noticed as I was doing some analysis this morning. But okay, so we have all the dailies marked out. Now let's do the SFPs real quick and see if we can find some liquidity where there could be some good juicy stop losses. And so let's see. I would say definitely gonna mark this low down here. I can see, these stops already got hit to the upside. I would mark here. I'm gonna mark this one as well, just to be aware of it. And because we are looking for a potential short trade opportunity, absolutely going to be watching this SFP at 2021. And then we obviously have the SFP at the ultimate high. So let me also, I'm gonna mark out the current one just so we've got it. Okay. So that looks good for the SFPs. Now let's go down to the ranges and the volume. So I have the value area high marked out. Same thing as Bitcoin, is we're now trading above the value area high. And if you're a range trader, then this would be where you'd be looking to get short, just based on the theory of ranges. Actually kind of interesting looking at this is Ethereum had two deviations. So a range deviation to the upside, traded back down into this range, and then deviated to the downside. So that's actually kind of interesting, just looking back on it. I don't really know any sort of theory behind that, but I think that what the theory is that if it deviates to the upside, then you could also be looking for that deviation to the downside. So that was kind of cool that ended up happening there. All right, so we've got the value area high marked out. The point of control has already been back tested. And so that would be, I could definitely see a lot of traders got into that, assuming they did not get stopped out here and they had their stop losses at the low. This would be for sure a good place to be looking for stops. So we already have that marked out, because that was just an obvious trade setup for a lot of people. And so the logical place for their stops would be below the low. Okay, so as far as volume is concerned, let me draw a range of this run up, and let's see where all of the volume falls on this particular uptrend. Let me drink. Oh yeah, by the way, I like to drink energy drinks, and they're terrible for you. And I know that, but they just taste so good. They just taste so good. Okay, so as far as volume on the way up, we have, you could definitely consider this unmitigated, this volume point of control right here. I'll definitely be watching that. And what I mean by unmitigated is that we haven't really left that range to a particular side and then come back and traded back into it. So similar to what we just saw on the macro range, kind of a similar point of view is that, well, where we traded up above the point of control and then came back down into it. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here, is that we've traded through it plenty of times, but I'll be looking for us to possibly come back down into it and see if we can line that up with some other confluence. So we're going to keep that one marked, and I also like to do the developing points of control. So let's see how this volume developed as it came up. So range extended developing point of control. And we can see that we have more volume down here at this smaller range. So I'm going to mark this out. And then here's a great example of what I mean by mitigated volume. So just a very small local example. We see that this point of control gets put in at this range. We trade above, we trade back down into it. Everyone that was in a position closed it, and then we make the real move. So definitely keep all of these on my chart. And these smaller ones, like the smaller range right here, that doesn't have as much volume as this range, I'll just mark it as, I just mark it as a session point of control, just meaning that it was really a single trading session and that it wasn't multiple trading sessions. And so I just have mine marked out as that, and makes it to where whenever we come down to it, if we come down to it, I would know to maybe put less emphasis on it because there wasn't as much volume traded there. So, okay, let me just take one more look, zoom out, make sure we're not missing anything. But probably will maybe move that down a little bit. Okay, so that looks good as far as the volume is concerned. And then up here, if we're going to continue higher, then I'm absolutely aware of this range right here. And let me get this, wait, what happened? There we go. Let me go back real quick and just go to a lower time frame and see what it looks like on the 3-minute. And I do this so I can just get it as accurate as possible. And here's a great example because I had it marked lower. So if you go to a lower time frame, it's going to be more accurate. And yeah, now it's dialed in. I also like to get the last bit of the move to see where this falls. So, okay, this one is a little lower. So I actually might have 2 drawn out here. So actually, let me draw this back a little bit further. And I think this is really similar to the concept behind an order block where you make the last move up before dumping significantly. And I don't really understand the concept behind why that is important, but my guess would be that the people who are controlling the market are entering their final positions maybe on this last run up. Maybe somebody else in the chat can share an opinion on that, but yeah, I like to look at the end of the range as well, just to get the most, and this is also another reason, to get the freshest volume that hasn't been traded through multiple times. Because if you have a point of control that originated at the beginning of the range, there's really no telling how much of those traders have been wrecked already and how many have been stopped at the highs and the lows, and there's really no telling. So all that being said, I just think it's also smart to be looking at the end of the range as well. And so something I noticed is that this is actually interesting to me because it stands out on this particular range. So we have all of this volume traded, and you can see this massive spike down here. This almost was the point of control actually, and it really looks like it was at this point down here. Let's see if it's here. Yeah, I'm gonna have that one marked as well. And I'm just gonna mark that as like a session point of control. But that is interesting to me. I'm not sure if we've come back up to it, but okay. So let's go ahead and move on from the volume. And then we will do some fibs, and then we'll be done with the analysis, and then we'll see if we can find any confluence above us for a possible short trade to get into. So, okay, fibs, I should actually have these already good. So we're at the golden pocket. We're still in between the 618 and the 786, which technically is the pocket. And so, you know, that's some good confluence. If we are seeing and reading the indicator accurately, and it is going to end up being one of these massive moves down, then this would be a great place to be looking, because we are in a golden pocket. We have some volume and some SFPs above us. And so, yeah, we've got some potential good setups to be had. So let's go ahead and let me zoom out a little further. Okay. All right, one more fib, and then I think this will be it. Maybe I take that back, 2 more. So I'll do this, and then I'll copy paste that and do this right there. And I'm gonna take off the 0.5. I don't use the 382 unless it's like a huge move. Then I'll use the 382. I don't really use it too often. I never really found it to be very reliable, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got everything marked out. That looks good. Let me turn everything on to see if something stands out. And okay, so first thing that stands out, I'm just gonna mark the levels to the downside real quick. But the first thing that stands out is we've got this point of control falling right into a golden pocket, almost like too perfectly. And it's also right below an SFP. Like that is a really ideal setup where you could come down, hit stops underneath this low into a point of control, into a golden pocket, and also an SR flip if you're looking at this high. I mean, yeah, this is definitely a place to be watching out for. So the SFP down to the golden pocket. 786 doesn't really have any confluence unless maybe we come down to a low time frame and see if we can pull any range, or I'm sorry, see if we can pull any volume out of this range. Let's see. Okay, so I mean, not the worst thing. I would be aware of it, that we've got this little tiny session point of control lining up with the 786. So I would be aware of it. Okay, let's go back up to a higher time frame. And we have this daily level that we were talking about, which actually coincides with the value area high. So that could be actually really nice. Maybe history will repeat itself, and we, actually let me delete this 618 so I can get it off my chart. So yeah, maybe history will repeat itself and we come back down to the daily, find support, and then push up higher. So yeah, I would be watching that for sure. So let's mark that out. We've got the value area high, we've got the daily level. It looks like they got traded through a little bit, like it wasn't a perfect on the button hit. So I would be looking for it to get taken, and then I would be considering just a zone below it, but I would want to see it get hit for sure. And I'm less interested now in, well, I'm still gonna keep the SR flip on my chart. I mean, it's worked decent, but I'll keep it on my chart. And not seeing a ton of confluence at this weekly, but I mean, look at how many, definitely would still want to keep that weekly on your chart, because look at how many times it has become support and resistance. So support, resistance, wait, am I saying that? Yeah, support, resistance, resistance. Support, 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 resistance, 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 support. So many times, man. This weekly has been a beast, and so might as well just keep it on the chart, right? But I mean, eventually at a certain point it will become less effective for sure. So, okay, let me copy, paste this, and then we'll go look for some short trade opportunities. But yeah, so those are more local areas where I would be watching. And honestly, like, not the biggest fan of the golden pocket down here because it doesn't really line up with anything unless there's a single print right here. That's a possibility. Hold on, let me look at that. Is that a single print? It doesn't look like one. Well, there would be a single print right here going off the 1 minute Boyan single print method, which I actually really like. And then I would say right here. So that's actually not the worst thing, is to see that little tiny single print right there at the 618. So I'll keep that in mind. And all right, let's look to see if we can find some swing short opportunities. And then we'll go look at the indicator. So first thing I have to the upside is I've got the SFP of the current high. The daily, we have the SFP of this high. And I want to see if we have any significant volume right here that can coincide with this daily level. So I'm looking for good confluence because I'm looking for a swing trade. A potential swing trade, I would be looking for just a really juicy level, you know, like where's it at? So, okay, great. So there we go. There, that's why I wanted to come back and do this. I highly suggest using the replay tool to come back on these lower time frames and to draw out these points of control, or I'm sorry, these fixed range pulls at a lower time frame for these previous ranges, because you can use it to find really good confluence. And so this is a good case of that. We've got a point of control right here, and then it also looks like there's another high volume node above that. So I would be interested to see what this developing point of control looks like, to see if we have shifted between these 2 points. So let's do range, developing point of control. So okay, that's what I'm talking about. We have shifted between these 2 points multiple times. And if the objective of the market maker is to come up and take all of these orders who still have them open, didn't take profit, I mean, this is some really good confluence right here. So I would really kind of look at this more of a zone between these 2 points of control and the daily, if this is going to be a swing trade opportunity. So let me mark that out right there. That is a good area to be aware of. And then yeah, above that we have the SFP above us. And I wouldn't really be interested in taking a trade at any other levels except for these 3. And yeah, I mean, if you guys have other levels that you're watching, then I mean, definitely be watching those. But yeah, just me personally, I'm looking for a swing short on Ethereum as well. And we will just have to see what happens. You know, all the people that say that we're going to keep going higher and higher and never going to stop, I mean, that's a possibility, but we'll just have to see who's right at the end of the day. So, okay, above that, the obvious SFPs, the 786 is close to this SR flip. Let's go see what that is. Not the biggest, well, I don't hate that. I don't hate that as a swing trade. So same theory as an SR flip, where we come down, we find a sticking point at a particular low. So come up, find a sticking point, we trade straight through it, no resistance whatsoever. I'm sorry, no support. And so this would be an interesting place to be looking for a potential SR flip. Also, we have another one that I would be looking at, which is going to be this one. So I would be less interested in the 786 and more interested in these two SR flips personally. And then above that, we have some really nice confluence with another daily and a lot of volume that got traded in this range. So I'm gonna have those marked out, and then there's also the weekly above it. So, okay, but if we're going to be getting into a swing trade opportunity, I would, if this is going to play out, this whole theory that we're looking back at, looking at swing trade, thick swing trade signal, we're trading above it with no other signal, then I would be looking for it to play out quicker than later, because if we start to come up, more than likely we're going to start printing more signals. So if this is one of those scenarios where we are going to, let me turn this on. If this is one of those scenarios where we're going to play back down to the downside, and this is going to be like a significant high, then I would be looking for it to happen sooner than later. So I think that idea would more than likely be, in my opinion, at this daily point of control. So I'm going to be watching that for sure. And then let me put on some alerts to make sure I don't miss anything before I forget. Okay. And now that pretty much covers what I'm looking for. Let me put these in the correct chart, and I'll share this with you guys in my channel after we get off stream today. And that way you guys can copy it. Actually, you can also just access this live right now because I share my live chart. So I have the live link posted in my channel, and you are always welcome to go check that out. If you want to switch over from the current chart that it's showing, all you have to do is go to the sidebar and double click the asset that you want. So this is Ethereum Bybit. So if you single click it, you won't be able to switch, but you have to double click it, and then you can see my live chart for Ethereum. And yeah, so let's go ahead and put these in the right folder, and then we'll go to the indicator. We'll take a look at the indicator, and more interested in looking at these previous examples on the day trades. That would be something really interested in seeing, is what those scenarios look like with the day trades, and if that's happening again right now, then what we could be looking out for on those day trades. So here was the first one that we wanted to look at right here. So let's just mark that out. And then here's also another scenario, or another instance where it happened. Really just more of a divergence, but this just seems like more of an extended move through it. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, we're gonna look at both of these, okay? And then yeah, this is what I'm interested in. This is the one. These are the ones. Okay, so let's go back and let's first of all let's go to the first one, and let's go to a lower time frame. Let's see if we can get the 6 minute. Yes, we can. And now let's look, excuse me. Now let's look at the, okay. So this was a signal on the lower time frames, but it was just so thin that it's not registering on the higher time frames. This was super clean. Look at that. Like same thing we've talked about before. Thick signal, setting ourselves up for a thin one. We get once, we get a final that final dagger where we take it again for a quick SFP and see you later. So is that happening now? Let's look. Are we seeing a swing signal on a low time frame? We are not. So we are just trading above it. So let me go back again and let's look at that other scenario. Let's see if it happened there as well, where we're just not seeing it on the high time frames and it was just a really thin one. Can you guys hear the music good? Is it like a good volume? I want y'all to have some background music as I talk. Damn, I'm like dropping a lot of frames. You know what it is? I know what it is. I'm on my VPN. I apologize if the quality is low. I just realized that dropping a lot of frames, and it's got to be because of that. Like, I have fiber internet, so it's kind of disappointing that it still does that, but oh, someone says suddenly your audio and video isn't synced. Really? And then somebody else says all good. Perfect here. Okay, if anybody else is experiencing that, let me know. But yeah, if it's not syncing up, maybe try refreshing. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Hopefully it's not because of these frames that I'm dropping because of my VPN. I'll make sure to, I try to make sure to keep the VPN off because I have to have it on when I trade because I live in a restricted country. But okay, if it's happening for anyone else, please just let me know. But right now we are looking at this previous scenario where we are trading above a swing trade with no signals whatsoever. And we are going to look at the day trades just to see what those are looking like and what the ultimate scenario was for getting into a juicy trade setup, if this is going to happen. So just a scenario, and then we'll talk about what would I not want to see. So, okay. What do I want to do? Okay, turn on dots and then turn on both. And we are going to just be looking at range mode right now, even though it is bullish price action. But okay, even range mode catches the ultimate high, but let me look in bullish mode and see if this high gets put in with divergence or, oh wait, that was the scalp trades. Okay, bullish mode on the day trades. Okay, so in the correct mode, it just worked its way up to a particular level and had a divergence. So same thing, not much of one, but here we have a very thick signal and we come up and trade above it, get a thin signal, and that was the ultimate top. And also aware of the swing trades that we are above, same thing as now, is we're trading above a swing trade signal, looking for levels, looking for day trades, and looking for that confluence, and aware of how, if we get into a trade and it plays out for us, how we would be looking to manage these trades because of the high time frame context. And so let's take a look at this in bearish mode. Let's get aggressive and let's go into bearish and see if we can catch any of these highs. Okay, so bearish mode catches this SFP of this high, and that's another thing to keep in mind is, say we come up to a really great opportunity, there's always the potential for looking in the correct mode. Okay, so we've got the correct bias. We're understanding that there's a potential to really play out significantly here. And just as a reminder, this was a massive, massive drop. It's probably like 60% drop. I haven't measured it, but I would be willing to bet it's probably about 60% from here. And yeah, this was the scenario, is that the market shifted. We had that bias, and looking in the correct mode could have gotten us into this super juicy trade that never comes back and gets retested. So also it really looks like one of those 3 drive setups that I think White Phoenix talks about, where come up, down, up, 3rd drive, lower high, and down. That's like a perfect, I think that's a 3 drive. I'm not super familiar with White Phoenix's methodology, but maybe somebody can let me know in the chat. Is that a 3 drive setup? But yeah, okay, so indicator, as far as the indicator is concerned, we would be looking for day trades if this is going to happen again. So let's go back to the current price action now. We've got our potential bias of a scenario that can happen. And let me take this out. I'm gonna put it back into bullish mode and reset. Okay, we're still in this short, by the way. I've already taken profit on it, and I've got my stop loss at my entry, but Bitcoin is hanging on pretty good so far. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So, okay. First thing to note is we are in that same type of scenario. We're trading above the swing trades. What I would not want to see, I would not want to see us making a bullish run and printing more swing trades and going through levels. I would still be looking to take trades at these levels for sure, but what I would not want to see is it not respecting these levels at all. You know, if we're going to be making that switch, and we're going to be starting to favor the downside, then I would want to see respect of the levels. And so what do we have? What has happened right now is, looks like we have front run this SFP. And so the next levels that I have, what is that? Bitcoin. Okay, let's see. Bitcoin is coming back up to the to the golden pocket. And if it makes it through the golden pocket, I would say that that's not a good sign. So see if we get stopped out here. So yeah, we'll just have to watch it. Let me set another alert. So, okay, here we go. In the golden pocket. If it comes back up through here, I mean, we could always SFP the high, I suppose, but let's see what happens. Okay, so back to Ethereum. I don't know if we hit a level up here. I guess I didn't have anything marked here. All I can see is that we just pushed through the 6.6. And first time we hit up here into the golden pocket, which was on this hit, we have stopped all of the golden pocket traders out. And then yeah, I would really like to see this come up into, yeah, a signal. So looking in bullish mode on the day trades, I would like to see that same setup as we got before, where we maybe play around here a little bit, maybe trade up into that daily level, TP1 at the high, and then would ultimately be looking for that to get lost. And if that's lost, if we have a day trade at this level, or also any of these levels up here above, if we get just a clean, if we're still not printing another swing trade, and if I see a day trade confirmation into a level, I'll take it, and I'll be looking to hold it as a big swing trade opportunity, just based on the context of what has happened before. So doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. Doesn't mean I'm right. I could be wrong, but we'll just have to see what happens. So, okay, let's see let's see if we have any questions real quick. So, and then how long have we been going for? 2 hours. Okay, we'll cut it short here in a sec. So we've looked at Bitcoin, we've looked at Ethereum, we've got our bias, we've got our levels. They're both showing very bearish signs, and that's also Confluence in and of itself, is that we've got two very bearish signs showing on two of the biggest assets that we have. And so, what other conclusion would you expect someone to draw just based off using the indicator? So let me turn on something real quick. There we go. Actually, let me save this, and then I'll take some questions, and then we'll get out of here. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's see. So when do you enter a trade? When the indicator releases on the scalp and daily plus a higher high, says Mr. So I think that there's multiple ways to approach trading. I like the way that Jay trades. Jay is more of an aggressive trader, and he looks for, I have noticed that many times he gets into trades like right at levels and looks for just like that quick reaction based off of it. And I also am trading on MEXC, where I have super low fees, and so I'm really taking advantage of that, meaning that I can take these market orders. I can double market order, which means I market in, and if I get stopped out, that's another market order, and that's a 0.02% fee, which is nothing. Like that's a third of what a single market order fee is on Bybit. So yeah, I'm taking advantage of that currently and being really aggressive with my levels, and that means I get to enter with a bigger trade size, and I have less risk because of the small fees, and I also have a tighter stop loss. So I'm much less afraid of taking positions aggressively whenever I see the indications showing up. And let me just refresh this to see. Yeah, okay. So again, what the context was is that we were coming up into it. We're printing these thick day trade signals, which isn't ideal, but it's also still possible for this to be a significant turning point, because you can go back and see times when it has happened in the past. And so just taking that into consideration, because it's printing thick, I would really be looking for this divergence on the scalp trades. So let me turn this off, and I would just want to see something bearish. If we're going to have a thick signal on the day trades, then I would want to see at least divergences on the scalp trades. And so we were coming up and we were starting to print some scalp signals as we were hitting these highs, and I wasn't thrilled with that. But as we started to come back down, they released and turned into divergence. So whenever I saw that, I'm saying, yeah, this is still worth it. I would still be interested in getting into this trade. And so that's one way to approach it, knowing everything that I just told you about, the exchange that I trade on and the reason why I'm aggressive with my trading style. But another way to approach it would be to see this happen. You see the signals, you see the potential. This is a repainting indicator, and I never shy away from telling people that. It's just, yeah, it would be great if it didn't do that, but it's just how the indicator has to work. in order to give you a live stream of data. So if it wasn't repainting, I would have to give you this signal in it later. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure until later, minutes after the trade actually happens. And so, yeah, it is a repainting indicator. And knowing that, you can choose to wait. So you see the signal, maybe you want to be a little bit more careful. Okay, I see the signal. If this is going to be a good trade, then I'm going to look for the lower high, which is the golden pocket is a fantastic place to look. And honestly, like, you could get a better trade out of that. You could take this, I mean, look at what your risk to reward is going to be on this trade. Say if you caught this, let's actually also turn on the indicator. Say if you take this and put your stop above the golden pocket, this is you can have a fat position on this. The most I enter on any trade is usually 4x my account, but that's what I would be entering on this is, excuse me, a 4x account size. So that's another way to go about it, is to just look for that lower high. Or you could take the responsible approach and put your stop loss at the high, which is perfectly fine and probably better advice. And that would be a 0.5 stop loss. So if you're risking 1%, that's 2x your full account. And yeah, that's just another way to approach it, is to wait for the release, to allow the indicator to get all of its repainting out if it's going to do that, which if you're using it, you will know that it does happen sometimes, but it's not extremely common. And yeah, allow it to get all of that out of its system, catch that lower high with just a good fresh look at it. And yeah, that's another way. So multiple ways to approach it, but I just choose to be aggressive sometimes because I want to, maybe it's a little bit of FOMO perhaps with not wanting to miss a big move. I mean, here we saw this come down a whole percent, and I mean, yeah, there's always the opportunity that it could just come down and not stop. And so I would like to be a part of the move if that's going to happen. And so that's why I like to be a little more on the aggressive side sometimes. So, okay. Let's see what else we've got. So hopefully that answered your question. It's just like marking, B says it's just like marking dailies and weeklies. Oh, okay, so you're talking about KPAX. It's just like marking dailies and weeklies. The peaks are the candle closes, I see, and use a horizontal line to see where it lines up the best across many time frames. Yeah, that's how I've understood when I've tried to figure out how he does it, and I've heard him say that before, but I guess I'm just not as good as doing it as he does. So, but yeah, man, if you're able to do it or understand it, then I mean, more power to you. I've never really been able to figure it out myself. So, but yeah, we're talking about the SR flips for KPAX, by the way. Okay, it looks like that's all the questions that we've got. So, oh, Horace, what's up, dude? Nice to see you, man. Horace says, no, that is a 3-tap. So nice. Good to hear that. I think that was the Ethereum. That was the previous Ethereum swing short that we were talking about. So B also says that I think he uses the 4-hour and the 1-hour and the 15-minute time frame for those SR flips on the line chart. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah, I think it's okay. Like, everyone's got a unique way of trading and doing analysis, and yeah, that's just something that I've always seen as very unique about KPAX, something that he seems to do really well that I don't see other people being able to do very well. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I'm still short from 31,110 on MEXC. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Bitcoin wants to cooperate and dump on us. We'll see if it wants to come back up and retake the highs. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I appreciate all of you guys showing up, and I will see you